the Honorable Minister of State, Honorable Minister of Finance, representative of the Chief of Staff, and the directors here. I wish to again thank Mr. President for giving us this opportunity. Since we have launched the program, we haven't had the chance to brief him on our progress. And I think it's very important that we're doing this because it has never ever been done in Nigeria. This is the first time in this government that an initiative that is unique and supporting grassroots artisanal miners, and they run in thousands. We have up to 500,000 artisans in Nigeria that have never really had support. My gratitude at the beginning is profound because this is personal to me as well. During my time as commissioner in Zamfara State, I witnessed the death of over 400 women and children that died from lead poisoning, and over 1,000 and more were infected. Niger State was also affected, and that was very traumatic to me as a woman and as a mother. So this is personal to me, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to steer this project because it mitigates against most of the problems that we had in 2010 at the time. So thank you, sir. You may wish to recall that you approved PAGMI, as my Honorable Minister has said, with the objectives of plugging fiscal leakages, job creation, and accretion to foreign reserves, because Central Bank of Nigeria is the off-taker of the gold that we produce, and it goes to count towards foreign reserves. This is very common in a lot of countries now, Russia, Chile, China. A lot of countries are keeping their foreign reserves in gold, and Nigeria used to do that a long time ago. 8% of our reserves were held in gold, and then it came down to nearly zero. So we're just making an attempt to diversify our foreign reserves to have some holdings in gold. The CBN has paid for the gold bar and all the gold that we presented, and it was a proof of concept at the time, and it has proven to be successful. You may also wish to recall that you approved the constitution of a steering committee comprising of the Chief of Staff as the chairman, the Governor of Kebbi State as the vice chairman, the Governor of Osun State, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, Governor of Central Bank, and the Honorable Minister of State for Mines and Development. So with your permission, sir, I will be making a quick presentation on PAGMI's progress so far. Thank you. So artisanal miners are participants that are eking out a living. It was mostly poverty driven, and they are desperate, and they use very crude methods when they are trying to unveil. They have no information. It's not a scientific thing. It's people that are just scavenging, looking for how to survive and make a living, and they just chase after veins of any mineral, not just gold. But gold is particularly attractive because of the high price. And they're scattered all over the country. They're scattered across the border in Niger, Chad, and we pick gold in particular because of the ease of moving a small amount of gold but high value in terms of laundering, sponsoring illicit activities. It's important that the intervention happened first with gold. So this is the excavation to open a gold vein. This is what they would typically do. Some of them have to take drugs before they can go into holes like this, and this is even a decent hole. Recently, we had an accident across the border from Zamfara in Niger where a lot of people died because they had just discovered a deposit there. About 50 people in Niger. So the cooperative, they gather themselves into a cooperative, and the pit is where they work and bring out the gold material. On the next page, so it's 7,000 incidences of lead poisoning have happened like this. And at the time in Zamfara, 400 and about 300 in Niger State. So in total, 700 deaths. If you Google it, it's the worst ever lead poisoning incident on record in the world. Medicines Sans Frontières, UNICEF, we had all the NGOs working with our doctors, reclamation of land. It was a big disaster. Women and children helped their men wash the material, and the poisonous stuff, it spreads into communities and into homes, especially in rural areas. And this is exactly why PAGMI was set up. The small pans, they don't have water supply or water sources. It's crude washing and processing of gold just to make a living in any way. After the Zamfara incident, I interviewed a miner, and I asked him, I said, will you go back to this? He had lost his wife and children. And he said to me, he earns over 70,000 naira a week, and he has no other means of livelihood, and he intends to go back to it. And he himself was infected with lead poisoning at the time. So this is the pilot site in Kebbi, Iziauri, Ngaski local government. Next slide, please. So this is what PAGMI went in with to support the artisans. There's scientific advancement, not state of the art, basic science to improve the processes and help and support what they do. And this was our proof of concept area. We did exploration to support the mining cooperatives that were formed there. And you can see the overview of the beginning of the pilot site. So you've skipped, I'm on page, you've skipped some. Okay, yes, so the next slide, please. So this is a reservoir for 1.5 million liters of water to have a source of water that is more reliable than their carrying pans and buckets. And this is now getting to international standard of support with earth moving equipment, so that the work that a miner or 100 miners are doing over months and months with excavation and earth moving equipment, you can do it within a week and achieve greater productivity. Next slide, please. This is a 30-ton per hour crushing and milling plant, complete with its conveyor belt and set, and beside it is a mechanized crusher. So we're training them on how to use equipment so that if there's opportunity for employment, they are better skilled and not at the rudimentary level. And they don't need degrees and complicated qualifications to have this training. We've developed manuals to train them in different languages. Next slide, please. So the miners get as much as 60 to 70,000 naira a month and increased productivity because we're using better technology and we get more yield from what we are producing than when they use their local crude methods. Next slide, please. A couple of months ago, we paid a cooperative over 20 million naira for gold produced under PAGMI, and the benefits are they've never ever earned that type of money. A lot of them were excited. We also linked them to other government programs like health insurance, housing benefits. They have benefited from solar panels that are produced in other parts in government. Next to it is, no, this is important. Slide before, please. Next to it is an underground mine. This has been developed from geoscientific data. We've gone and targeted the exact vein underground and developed this mine. The artisans then go in and they can win the gold. They could never ever have achieved this without PAGMI. And this only is achieved with professional guidance, geologists, engineers. We did excavation. There were explosions that were controlled. And this is a standard international underground mine developed at the pilot site. These are the engineers and workers that support and give guidance to the labor force that is working there. a group of formalized cooperatives is also in that picture. Next slide, please. So we have a digital ID system that we created with over 20,000 miners registered across the pilot states with the support of the state governments. It shows that the points and the numbers above show those who we are the users and the admin staff, all the data. This is important for transparency, to budget, and also to know who are the miners, because we have issues of misdirection of funds. So this is like a KYC thing that we have done across the pilot states, Kebbi and Oshun. So every miner has a BVN and NIN number linked to a drive digital identification. For security purposes, we have linked each miner with their BVN and NIN number, so they're identifiable. We know everyone that is working with us. We know their status. We know them in the community. They cross-reference each other in a cooperative, and they all know each other, so that we don't have people crossing the border to come and join a program that is for Nigerians and is security sensitive. So this is the example of how we capture them, and it's a digital print, is a digital footprint of the particular miner with his bank account, and we pay them directly into their bank accounts. We don't carry cash to pay them. So sometimes people will enroll on a program and they won't attend. They just want to be collecting free money from government. This cannot happen in PAGMI because we have an attendance management system where when you are absent, it shows, and to ensure that only the workers that are coming are compensated, and we don't pay people that are just on a list for doing nothing. So there's a digital attendance management system. If you come to work, you get paid. If you don't get paid. So we have progressed in the formalization driven by capacity development programs built around modern exploration and processing methods, supported by an 83-ton per hour crushing and milling plant and the digital identification system. The success of this formalization has led to job creation evidenced by the over 20,000 miners registered across Kebbi and Osun State, and the increase in foreign reserves we expect in the coming months as we kick off the supply of gold bars to the Central Bank of Nigeria. We have also reached an agreement with the Nigerian Postal Service to use NIPOST offices nationwide as gold trading hubs. The steering committee has been very influential in resolving bottlenecks to fast-track the implementation of PAGMI, and I would like to thank members for this. For example, the central bank governor has been very supportive in the execution of a supply and offtake agreement, and the Honorable Minister of Finance is very committed to increasing PAGMI's capitalization through the Stabilization Fund at the Sovereign Wealth Fund, NSIA. This is important in our next stage for ramping up the program in the other states and to increase volumes for supply of gold to CBN. Following the presentation of a gold bar to CBN last year, we identified pricing issues due to the exchange rate differential. The CBN governor has committed to resolving these issues during the meeting with the chairman and vice chairman of the PAGMI steering committee. So I am happy to inform you that we have developed a responsible sourcing framework for PAGMI, and this framework is based on international standards. Again, it's the first time this type of document has been developed in Africa, and we have adapted it to our own local situation and nuances. We don't copy and paste everything that we see that has happened in Norway or Belgium, because Nigeria has its own peculiarities. So Nigeria is the first country to develop a comprehensive national responsible sourcing framework based on international standards, such as the OECD due diligence guidance, to guide the aggregation and sourcing of artisanally mined gold. We engaged other government agencies, including NITI, EFCC, and the Nigerian Customs Services in developing this framework. We are all very proud of this development and highly grateful to Your Excellency, sir, for the opportunity to serve. This framework that we will present to you today consists of 3 distinct documents. A, the framework and guidance document. This document aims to help PAGMI and other companies improve and manage their responsible sourcing and environment, economic, social, and governance performance, finalized based on consultations with PAGMI. B, the responsible sourcing toolkit. This toolkit is what artisans will actually use to guide them to source gold responsibly in a sustainable manner. The toolkit has been developed to help guide and provide checklists, questionnaires, and to assist them to eventually report on their commitments, due diligence processes, and actions related to responsible sourcing of gold in the entire value chain. C, guidelines for buying centers and cooperatives. It details the step-by-step procedure adopted by cooperatives and buying centers hoping to be accredited by PAGMI. Certified entities are required to set up policies and procedures, conduct risk assessment of their upstream supply chain, carry out due diligence based on responsible sourcing toolkit that we're bringing here today. Your Excellency, sir, the framework will ensure incidences of lead poisoning that led to those deaths, sadly, should not happen again, because we now have protocols that we can follow and supervise as a ministry and as a project. I'm happy to inform you, Your Excellency, that the gold aggregated and refined under PAGMI will conform to international standards and be fully traceable due to this responsible sourcing framework. The framework will put Nigeria on track to eliminate illegal mercury use, child labor, money laundering, and gold as a tool for terrorist financing. Your Excellency, sir, the pilot phase completed. The steering committee has endorsed an aggregation target of 5 tons of gold for PAGMI, supported by sustainable expansion across other states to drive success across the country. Meeting the target of 5 tons will create an estimated 50,000 jobs from increased formalization, supported by PAGMI, capacity development programs, and about $300 million in foreign exchange reserves accretion. To achieve the target set above, we require the support of Your Excellency in the following areas: the increased capitalization to support the delivery and expansion of PAGMI in the additional states that wrote to us showing interest that we engage with to meet that aggregation target. A fair price from the Central Bank of Nigeria to support artisanal miners' losses due to the exchange rate differential, because gold is priced internationally in dollars and we buy from them in naira. There is an exchange rate differential that needs looking at for a fair price from the central bank. We're working with security agencies already, and we shall continue to do so to curtail artisanal and small-scale mining exports outside PAGMI. So if you have a gold factory that is standard and not rudimentary like artisanal, and you are doing it professionally like Rio Tinto or the big mining companies, we're not saying you can't take gold out. That is not restricted. But if you are buying from these poor people that are scavenging and taking it out and not paying royalties, we can't trace your funds, we don't know where you're taking it to, the funds are not coming back to the communities, then we are saying the program deserves a chance to develop, and we're seeking for a ban of that artisanal export for a year at least, to give PAGMI a chance to checkmate the smuggling activities as outlined in the memo that the Honorable Minister of State has sent to Mr. President. So a temporary waiver of royalties also, which is about 3%, to ensure that PAGMI offers competitive pricing for artisanally mined gold, thereby ensuring higher incomes for the miners. And then the funding of targeted exploration, which is how we increase our volumes of gold, because it's geoscientific data and development, to catalyze private sector investment, which is more sustainable and will transform PAGMI beyond artisanal and small scale to large scale mining that will enhance the sustainability of the initiative. As a follow-up to this briefing, sir, we shall submit a memo outlining the support required above for your humble consideration. Your Excellency, we are confident that the increased capitalization in PAGMI will provide the additional funding necessary to expand across other sites and states, and it will allow us meet that 5-ton target. PAGMI is an innovation. It's a legacy of this government. I'm very proud of it. It's an initiative that has never been done, and it's this administration's pride that it was in this time that we achieved this. We are highly appreciative of your support and commitment to providing a better life for artisanal miners. I would like to thank particularly the Minister of Finance for her tireless support, because it's an innovative program, and from the beginning she gave us tremendous support, and I would like to thank my Honourable Minister as well for his support, and those who are absent. The fund is grateful for your approval of a sustainable income stream, and the Honourable Minister of Finance is also supporting us in implementing that approval. Thank you very much. May you live long. May Allah grant you health and all the benefits and blessings of your seat, sir. Thank you, sir.
The